If you ever wanted something that pretty much feels magical, then you should look no further than SEMrush's Keyword Magic Tool. In today's video, I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks of how to use SEMrush's Keyword Magic Tool, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to use some of the output that you get from the Keyword Magic Tool to identify some great keyword opportunities for you. This video is a sponsored video, so thanks so much to the SEMrush team for partnering with me on this video. All right, so first things first, what exactly is the Keyword Magic Tool? Well, the Keyword Magic Tool is just one of many, many tools that are in SEMrush's SEO toolkit. And you can access it by going into your SEMrush account and then going into the keyword research section with the second option for Keyword Magic Tool. And right off the bat, it'll explain to you exactly what it's about. It is all about finding millions of keyword suggestions for your SEO to help you build the perfect keyword list using their AI-powered keyword generator. So what's really cool about SEMrush is that they tell you exactly where you may already rank, as well as they work with you on topical groups, personalize the metrics for your own sites, as well as continually update this with fresh data. This makes it so that you never have to worry about being up to date in terms of the latest search trends because SEMrush is always taking care of that updating of their database for you. So once you get into SEMrush's Keyword Magic Tool, you want to input some sort of topic that you might be looking to create organic content on. For the purpose of this video, we're going to actually continue on the last video where we went into the HOA SaaS space. And what we're going to look for is we're going to look for HOA software. And that's where we're going to start today's search. So on your side of things, if you don't already have a SEMrush account, feel free to create a free trial account using my link in the video description below. And by doing so, you also help support the channel. But when you go into SEMrush, you can start by going into the Keyword Magic Tool and then putting in the sort of topical area that you might be interested in. So in this case, I'm interested in the HOA software space. And what this gives me right off the bat is a very high level overview of 342 keywords that are potentially interesting for me in the HOA software space. It's a total volume of 8,050. The average keyword difficulty is 25%. And generally speaking, when you start to look at some of these metrics, you want to see, is this really high? Is this really low? How do you know? Well, in this case, I know that this is not really all that high because a 25% score is honestly going to come back as very low competition or possible in terms of SEMrush's rankings. But if you're ever unsure about yourself, you can always go into the domain overview section and then check out specifically how they define different keywords. Just to kind of show you a quick example, you can see here that in the organic research tab, when you go into the position section, this is where they'll define the different levels of keyword difficulty. So at 25%, you're easily falling into that easy range of you'll need some quality content focused on the keyword's intent, but for the most part, this is a pretty soft space all in. So when you get into the Keyword Magic Tool, you're going to get some sort of output in terms of all the different ideas for your respective keyword. And in this case, I can see that there's 342, but what I love about the Keyword Magic Tool is that it really just filters everything down immediately for you. So what that means is that on the left-hand side, I can already see some of these clusters that come together. There's things like best of content that seems to be coming up. If I want to just click that, it'll filter down to just those phrases. So you can see there's phrases like best HOA software, best HOA website software, best HOA accounting software, and so on. There's also different pockets of content like condo HOA software. It seems like Florida probably has a bunch of HOAs because there seem to be some keywords there. But what I've always appreciated about the Keyword Magic Tool is that it just allows you to cluster ideas together. So this makes it really easy for you to quickly figure out exactly what might be going on in the respective keyword space you're looking for. What's also nice is that this filters based off the different types of search. So I was just in the broad match section, but when you're in the Keyword Magic Tool, you can always filter it down by either broad match, phrase match, as well as exact match and related keywords. So what this quickly allows you to do, for example, is maybe I started my search with just HOA software, but I actually want to see what are some other related phrases to HOA software. And in that case, I can go into the related section and I can find a ton more search volume from a whole bunch of other respective keywords that I may not have thought of originally. So this can be a great way for you to just build up a backlog of potential content ideas that you can create. In the case where you're, for example, a SaaS company in the HOA software space, you might realize very quickly that there's a lot of value in potentially creating a ton of direct content that's informational, talking about these different types of software solutions and things like that. When you're starting out your search in the Keyword Magic Tool, I always like to just look at the overall picture of things, of how many keywords are there, what's the total volume. In this case, there's tons of search available. The keyword difficulty is honestly not all that difficult. And so then from there, we can start to drill down further. So in this situation, one of the quickest ways that you can discover low competition, high value keywords is actually just by running some filters through. So some of the things that I always like to do is sort by 100 or greater in terms of volume. Keyword difficulty, again, I can keep that below 30 to start out. And then right then and there, I've come up with a couple phrases where I'd probably want to start thinking about some content ideas that could be interesting for me. So HOA accounting software for HOA, best HOA software, all these respective things. I can actually just go ahead and quickly export this, and this will give me a great idea of what are some potential ideas for me that would work really well in this respective space. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do though, before I finish up here, is I'm also gonna look for the next sort of layer up. So I always like to go up to about 50 or so, even if it's saying that it's just possible in that situation on range, just because I have actually found that in many of those respective cases, these are still good ideas for me to potentially explore. So I'm gonna go ahead and export those as well. The other thing I like to do when it comes to using the Keyword Magic Tool is look at what are some of the question sections that may be available to me. So I'm gonna clear out my filters, and now I can see some of the most common phrases that people have around HOA software. So they ask questions like, what is HOA software? Can software replace property managers for HOAs? All these respective things in here. These would all be potential considerations for things to work into my content when I'm creating content around the best HOA software. So generally speaking, what I like to do is I like to just look for these respective question sections just to figure out if there is another drill down that I need to consider when I'm creating content here. In this case, I'm also just going to go ahead and export this data just so that I have it available for me. If you ever want to refresh or update the information on the keyword, just feel free to hit this button. And then what'll happen is SEMrush will pull that report and then refresh that piece of data for you. So here you can see, as I've updated this, it now updates it with that keyword difficulty of 27 and 20. And I can do the same thing for a couple more of these respective phrases. In this situation, I can see how it also categorizes the content for me. So in this case, it can recognize that the query, what is HOA software, or can software replace property managers for HOAs, are both examples of informational content. And also I can see that it potentially has some commercial implications because they're potentially exploring software solutions to replace property managers. What I also really like about this is that it always kind of tells you your chances of ranking from the keyword difficulty score. And one of the new features that SEMrush recently introduced is the ability to input a specific domain for personalized data on how hard it is to rank in this space. So in the example where I put in Pay HOA as my domain, I can actually see the personalized difficulty score for these respective phrases. So while this keyword difficulty was originally 27%, now for this one, it's actually 0, which is really easy. And the reason why is because this domain, Pay HOA, already has high authority in terms of this respective topical area. I really like this in terms of a great way for you to cut through the noise and figure out what are the best opportunities for my domain. Something else that you'll notice is that once you actually go back into the overall view and you've added in your AI-powered domain in this situation, it'll tell you the potential traffic that you will gain from that phrase as well. So this is just a really great way for you to quickly identify what are the best opportunities for me. If I were to just to filter down for this and say that I was an SEO manager for payhoa.com, I would do a few quick things. The first thing is I'd filter for that 100 or more volume filter that I used earlier. And then what I do from there is I'd actually just go ahead and go all the way up probably to a difficulty of 60 or so, because in this situation, I can see that I already have such high topical authority on so many different phrases that I probably have an easier time of ranking for all sorts of different content pieces than I originally thought. And so in this case, I have in the broad match 15 keywords, and I can just go ahead and export that out. Once I've gone ahead and exported out some of these keyword files, what I can do is I can run it through ChatGPT for some potential ideation in terms of different topical ideas or clusters of content that I can create from here after doing this research with the Keyword Magic tool. So I've gone ahead and drag and drop these two files into my ChatGPT. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to use Super Whisper in order to create a very quick prompt to have it analyze this information. You are an experienced SEO manager for the company PayHOA.com. Your goal is to ultimately create more organic traffic for this business using some of the output from the SEMrush Keyword Magic tool. Attached are a few interesting exports from the Keyword Magic tool that you would like to analyze for opportunities. First, analyze this information and then ask me 2 or 3 clarifying questions. And then from there, come out with an outline of a few different topic ideas of how you would use this to create interesting content for PayHOA. So it just went ahead and input in this prompt. And then from there, I'm going to interact with this. So I'm having it analyze it. And what it's going to do first is it's going to review this information, pull out some insights from the keyword data, and then ask me some questions about the SEO content strategy that I might be working on. Then from there, I'm going to give it back that input so that it can then refine its strategy before coming out with some ideas. So right here, I can see that it already notices that there's a bunch of high volume, low difficulty keywords, which is exactly what the SEMrush Keyword Magic tool is supposed to do. And that there's some strong commercial intent as well with keywords like HOA software, best HOA software, as well as HOA management software. There's also SERP features, so site links, reviews, people also ask. So now it asks me these questions. What are the top 2 to 3 product differentiators PayHOA compared to competitors? As well as, do you already have blog content ranking for any of these phrases, or are we building them from scratch? And then do we want to focus on acquisition of self-managed HOAs, property managers, or another segment? So to answer this question, I'm going to use Super Whisper again. For your first question, the biggest differentiators is that PayHOA is the largest provider in the overall space and has a ton of funding with 27.5 million in Series A funding, which makes it the most modern platform and having the most robust support team. In terms of the blog content, we have some content here, but you should more or less assume that we are building it from scratch in your strategy. And then for the acquisition side of things, we really want to focus on property managers because in these situations, those are going to be larger accounts, which is going to result in more ARR. When you think about this, I want you to output your final ideas in the format of 10 high quality content pieces that would be interesting and opportunistic for PayHOA to create, and then do it in a table format with different considerations. All right, so I've gone ahead and fed that in here. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and see what it comes out with. So in this situation, it's going to synthesize my business goals for different things: property managers managing HOAs, looking for modern, well-funded, scalable solutions with robust support, and low to medium difficulty search. And then here it has 10 SEO content ideas for PayHOA. So the 7 best HOA management software platforms for property managers. It's already taken those target keywords that I pulled out from SEMrush's Keyword Magic tool to pull that in. And then from there, it even tells me some unique angles. It has other ideas like why property managers are switching to modern HOA software, HOA accounting software, what property managers need in 2025, and so on. So as you can see, in just a little bit of time, we have taken information from SEMrush's Keyword Magic tool and quickly synthesized that in an actionable content strategy that we can then use with PayHOA in order to rank even more for commercial intent phrases. Content is easier and easier to make now when you combine tools like SEMrush's Keyword Magic tool with ChatGPT. In this quick video, we just went through a clear example of how we can look into a particular topical area, identify out some great opportunities to pursue, and then use LLMs to essentially help us create a meaningful content strategy to then deploy and create content for it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you haven't already tried out SEMrush before and its Keyword Magic tool, I highly recommend it. Just use the link in the video description below to get started today. And if you have any questions or clarifications that I can help you with, feel free to leave it in the comments below.